today, I'm going to be fishing for some of the biggest carp in the state, including giant commons and big mirror carp. I'm going to show you guys a brand new technique that most of you have probably never seen in your lives. Let's see what we can catch in this windy, stormy day. So it's a pretty long walk to the spot, and I don't want to put it all in a backpack, so I've got it all loaded up in the wagon here. Let's head to the spot. We just got to the trail. It's really steep down here, so we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be tough with the wagon. Just walking down the hill here and almost stepped in this cactus. These spikes on this guy. There's more over here, there's more over here, and the whole hillside is just covered in these little cactuses. I see another one right here. This is huge. Looks like most of the spikes have been rubbed off either by animals or people, but there's still a few on this one. That one. Alright guys, we just got down to the spot and it's looking good, but they cut down a bunch of big dead trees over here, so there's a lot of snags. I'm gonna go down to the beach where there's less snags. Alright guys, the first thing we're gonna do is set up the rod holder right here. I got the rod holder and the vital arms here. This is called a rod pod, and what it is, it's basically a rod holder where all your rods are right by each other. They're really popular in Europe and other countries among the carp fishermen, but here in the US we don't really have many. The last step to set up the rod pod is to put these rod holders on. What this does is it holds the end of the rod to make sure it doesn't slide off when you're getting a bite. Alright, so now we got the rod pod all set in place and it's secure in the ground. Now we got to rig up our bait. So to make my pack bait, you only need 4 ingredients and it's super simple to make. You probably have these things already in your pantry. First thing you need is some breadcrumbs. Any kind of breadcrumbs is going to work. I personally like panko, but it doesn't really matter. The second thing you need is some jello. So flavor doesn't matter, it just you need the sugar from it. I like strawberry, doesn't really matter. You can do orange, cherry. You need some corn. I prefer the golden corn and I like larger kernels because it makes it easier to put on the hook for your hook bait. But any corn is going to work for this. And lastly, you're going to need some water or soda. I personally use soda, but you can just use water from the lake when you get down, or you can use water from your house. Alright, your next step is you're going to open the jello and pour it in with this. I like to use about half of one of these size containers. Your next step is to put the corn in. I forgot a can opener, so I'm going to have to use this. I had to look up how to open a can with a knife, but I think I figured it out. You don't need the juice in the can, so I just like to pour it out. That took a while, but we finally got the can open. So what you're going to do is use about half of the corn in this can and put it right into your mix. Once you get those 3 ingredients in the bag, you want to seal it up and mix it real good until everything's nice and even. Now your last step is going to be add a little bit of water or soda. You want to add this in small amounts so you do not add too much. I like to add a little bit, mix it, and then keep going until it's a good texture. One thing you can do to make your carp trips a lot more enjoyable is get some microfiber towels. I got this one for super cheap online. They dry really quick. They're super convenient on the water. If you guys are wondering about any of the gear I'm using, I'm going to link most of it in the description below, so check that out after the video. To present my bait, I'm going to be using something you guys have likely never heard of. These are called PVA bags right here, and what they do is they dissolve when they go in the water. So you fill it up with your bait, including your hook, you cast it in the water, and it dissolves. It's essentially like a method feeder, except the plastic goes away after a few minutes. These bags are really easy to set up. All you have to do is put the funnel in the top, put your bait in, and then once it's ready, you throw it on your hook. So sometimes with these bags for me, they're too light, they float. I like to put a couple rocks in the bottom just to make it sink quicker. And this pack bait right here I had you guys make, you can use it for PVAs, you can use it for method feeders, you can use it for all sorts of your carp presentations. Just gonna sprinkle it in there like that. So we got the bag loaded up. Now I'm gonna twist it a couple times to keep it in there, and then we're gonna bait up the hook. Once we bait up the hook, put it right on the top and it's ready to go. This tool right here I'm holding is used to thread the corn on the hair rig. A hair rig's a hook with a little piece of line on the back, and you put your bait on the back. That way when the carp sucks it up, it's easy to hook them. These are really popular rigs in Europe. Here in America, they aren't as popular. I got 3 pieces of corn rigged up on the threader. Now let's put it on the hook. Our last step is to put one of these hook holders on the corn so it doesn't fall off. You want to make sure to have your drag set really low in carp fishing, because when a fish takes off with your bait, they can easily rip your rod right into the lake. We just moved spots. We weren't catching anything at the last spot, and I just rigged up with a little float on here. It's called a pop-up boilie, and it helps keep your bait above the weeds. We're catching a lot of weeds, so hopefully this is what the fish want to eat. So I rigged up this bait on a method feeder instead of the PVA bags. We're switching it up to try to find what these fish want to eat. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering how these PVA bags work. Well, I'm going to show you right now. So basically they're plant-based, and what they do is when they go in the water, they react with whatever's in the water and they just disappear. So you can see it's already falling apart. You give it a little bit longer, it'll just be gone. As you can see, it's basically turned into nothing after only 15 or 20 seconds in the water. So they work really good. All right guys, we just had our first take of the day. Kai's on with the big one. How's it feel? Good. That thing went off screaming. He grabbed the line, he put it back for a second, then he just went screaming out. Made a huge run. Yeah, I think so. Let's get him in, guys. There we go. First fish of the day. Look at how fat this fish is. I think it's big. Alright guys, here's that fish. Really nice fat common. Super pretty colors too. Let's get him back. There he goes. We're gonna rig up that rod again with a PVA bag. Same thing, we're just doing the panko mix and our corn. We're just chilling here waiting for a bite. Check out this little duck. Come to say hi. There we go guys. We're hooked up right now. There we go, he's getting tired, he's coming in. Ooh. He's fighting weird. It feels really light, but he's like... Oh, there we go. Check out the girth of that fish, you guys. That is a fat fish. There's that fish, you guys. Super fat common. He's not the biggest, but he gave a good fight. Let's get him back and see if we can get an even bigger one. There we go. So that fish we just caught actually ate the float. So it had a little bit of corn and then this float over it. Let's re-rig it with the same float. So I'm trying to re-rig this stuff, but this guy in his pontoon is coming right by us. The whole lake's open and he's right by shore, so it's crazy these boaters come this close to shore. Yeah, we got our rods right here and this guy's going right over him. He's closer than our baits are. It's crazy. Here we go, all rigged up and ready to go. The ducks came back and they're feeding on some of the pack bait that dropped when we casted. Let's see how close we can get. I'll set the camera down and let them come to it. I don't want to approach them too closely. Just put the camera down. These rods are getting bites, but that rod went. So Kai's hooked up with the second fish of the day. How's this one feel? A little bit bigger? Yeah. Good. I think the fish are tangled up, but that other rod's getting bit, so maybe we'll double up here. Got the net all ready. Got it extended. Let's bring him in. In the net. There we go. Another solid fish. There's that fish, you guys. Got a weird scale pattern going on right here, but good fish. There's that fish Kai got. Super fat common. There's a storm coming our way and it looks like it's gonna rain. Usually the rain helps me with carp and I catch a lot more. So let's see if the rain helps us catch more fish today. Got 4 of the biggest kernels I could find. Let's load it up on the hair rig now. Just like that. Now we throw the little stopper right on top, and that keeps our bait nice and secure. No way it can fall off now. Kai had to leave early. It's officially just me. I'm gonna fish with the rest of the bait we have left and see if I can get a mirror to the bank. The middle rod right here has been getting really slack, so I think a fish is messing with it. I don't have a bobbin on this one, unlike I do on this rod and that rod, so I think that's the reason why I'm not detecting the bites. Alright guys, so I'm running one rod with no float and one rod with the float. On the float rod, I have a little split shot to keep it just about 4 inches off the bottom. I don't want it to float too high up, because if it's too high, the fish won't see my bait. They're going to be on the bottom eating this, but I just want this to be slightly above it so they can easily see it and pick it out of the weeds. So we got a windstorm moving through the lake. This should stir up the fish and get them eaten. Usually when a storm passes through, I always have luck. Alright guys, we're hooked up. The storm has moved in, but the fish are biting. Let's see how big this guy is. No, he just popped off. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm out of bait and the wind's picking up, so I gotta head out. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my weekly video next Saturday morning. I'll see you then.